So who are you?
Chad Nelson. I'm the president and co-founder of World Golf Tour.
Excellent. And you're going to play around and golf with me?
Yeah, I figure I'll show you, take you on a little tour of Kiwa Island.
All right.
So
the first thing I noticed is how beautiful the courses are, because we talked about this in our earlier interview, that you're using real photography, and each course, I understand, has 100,000 images?
It does. I mean, one of the things that we wanted to do right off the bat was to set ourselves up.
Is there any way you can lower the audio in a little bit?
Yes, there you go. One of the things that we wanted to do right off the bat was to differentiate ourselves with visuals. I mean, every golf game to date has been created through CG graphics. It's kind of like building a Pixar movie set. Yeah. And a lot of courses who are that are so stunningly beautiful just don't really get captured that way or that well when done that way. So one of the things that we wanted to do is say, well, I mean, let's just go out and recreate these courses with complete photorealism. And so what we do is we take literally hundreds of thousands of photographs from almost anywhere on this course. I mean, I could actually land my ball over here, I could land it into the woods, and we probably have a photograph of that region. So,
wow.
So yeah, so
that's... Did you do an aerial photograph too? And what's the reason for the aerials?
We do a lot of things to get the terrain data. So aerial surveying, laser survey, GPS surveys, I mean, all those are various techniques that we use. But that also gives us a true orthographic image that gets us down to about 1.5 inches of accuracy.
Wow.
So.
Okay, so let's play some golf.
Let's tee off. So here we are, first hole, first tee of the Kiwa, the ocean course. And I'm just going to go ahead and just drive one, power one, right down the middle for you. Oops, let's turn back up the sound. So as you can see, one of the things that we wanted to do was present the game much like how people experience it in a broadcast, when watching it on television.
Nice
EA,
shot, by the way.
Oh, thank you. EA and some of the other companies like to do the things where they take a camera and put it right behind the ball, so you watch it, kind of flying through the air. And some of those things that are they're quite hyper real, and most people never experience the game that way, and certainly not on television or in real life. And so our big goal was to actually recreate television. And so just as someone would watch CBS and watch the Masters or on NBC the US Open, we wanted to present the course just like they would see it on television. So you'll notice our camera cuts and some of the choices we have. We actually take a lot of helicopter shots, ground shots, reverse shots, tower shots, just like you would expect in a television broadcast coverage.
Yeah. Can I, the person, the avatar I'm playing with, can it be male, female?
Absolutely.
Can I customize it to look like me? Or
Yeah,
like
absolutely. That? I mean, personalization is a huge part of building game communities. People want to actually build an avatar representation either of themselves or maybe something completely fictitious. But the goal would be that yes, we want to have you be able to dress in the the Sunday red shirt with the black pants, or just in in a variety of different outfits. So
and do you have different kinds of equipment that I can use? And does the physics engine change according to the properties?
We have modeled, our physics system has almost 100 different values or variables that goes into it. So when we get equipment from club manufacturers, we actually get their data, put it into our physics system, and then the clubs perform very close to what they'd expect on all their data sheets. So it's not like we're kind of tuning a club and making an arcade version of it. We're actually simulating that club. So some people ask us, well, which is the best club in your game? And my answer always is, well, what's the give us the specs of the real world clubs, and we'll see which one actually is the best based on their actual physical data and their actual properties, not from us just tweaking it and tuning a club.
Interesting.
So let's just go ahead and just.
So let's see if you can make this putt.
Oh yeah, well it's a 1 inch downhill, probably a slight break, and Easy birdie. But Pete Dye, when he designed this course, wanted the first hole to be a little more accessible. Hole 2, of course, is where he breaks the back of most golfers. But as you can see here, I mean, from just the presentation and let's see here, still another decent shot. Here's an example: aerial shots, from helicopters, reverse ground shots. So I mean, when someone looks at it, a lot of people, when we ask them, do you think this is a 3D game? They all say, yes, it absolutely looks 3D, because it actually has 3D underneath it. But even though these are two-dimensional photographs, with the cuts and the way the ball interacts with the environment, it gives that illusion so that people really don't feel like they're missing something of being that whole real-time 3D experience like they would expect on an Xbox or PlayStation.
Yeah.
So
now, probably the difference is I can't move a camera around or move around the player, right?
no, but
That's where you would notice it. 3D.
That's where you would notice it. But in a lot of, I mean, in golf, unlike a first-person shooter or some of those games, yeah, that's important. But in golf, we're all generally aiming towards the green and the actual cup. So as long as all of our photographs are giving us those best angles, and that's one of the reasons why our course directors that shoot these things are golfers, because they need to know how do all these photographs, what's the golfer need when in a particular situation, where would they aim? Would they do a low punch shot, or would they actually be looking for a high flop over the trees? And making sure that we have camera shots or photographs that would accommodate that golfer's needs.
How is the technology working? If a course has 100,000 pictures, you're not downloading all that before you can start playing the game.
No.
Is it working like Google Maps works, where a tile comes in at a time, or
yeah, that's. I mean, we do
little tiles come in as you're playing the game?
We load a certain number of shots so that you have at least a basic quantity for presentation purposes. But the moment I land somewhere, we say, oh, well, you're now in a new portion of the course. We need to load all the appropriate shots for that portion of the course dynamically. Okay. And just like, well, as you watch, when I hit the ball here, once I have actually swung and chosen in terms of my speed, power, aim points, and so forth, the physics system is going to calculate very quickly where my ball will go. The animation of it actually takes a lot longer, and so actually we started downloading shots already. I mean, even before I get to the final outcome. So that way, from a pacing standpoint and from a pace of play, you notice as right there. I mean, this is an online build. Playing across the internet, there was no delay from me going from that shot to now my putt.
Yeah.
So this one. So we have even. Just to kind of emphasize the three-dimensional nature, I can turn on a putting green or a grid analyzer to help me read the green and see the break. So in this case, it's a pretty sweeping left or right break here.
Now that might be hard to see in a small video. Yeah. What are these little white dots on the grid doing?
So that shows the speed of the break.
Okay.
So in this case, if I were to aim my ball straight at the cup, this break would push this ball off here to the right. So what I need to do is aim accordingly, just to essentially anticipate that slope and that roll. And let's go ahead and just...
And how did you get this data? Because this is pretty interesting data.
Well, this is, again, from our sampling, and see, I misread it a little bit there. But what we do is, through various surveying techniques and technologies, I'm not going to give away everything that we do, but from aerial to laser and so forth, there are a lot of ways you can actually go out and survey a golf course. Some produce incredibly accurate results, and some of the ones that we're using, actually, our air model can be at plus or minus, like we said, an inch. So you actually have a 3-inch window, but on greens we even go more accurate. I mean, because we want the putting surface to play like it does in real life.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
So let's just go ahead
and it keeps score for you, right?
Yep, keeps score. And some of the things that are very cool about our community, we track stats. I mean, that's one thing that we find that's very important for players. They get very caught up in how they're performing as a golfer, want to compare themselves to their immediate peers or rivals or other people competing in our tournaments. So, what's my longest putt? What's my percentages of literally what's my scramble percentage, or what's my green regulation percentage? A lot of the casual players might not know what those things are, but as they start to become more familiar with the game of golf, or if they watch television, or if they play in real life, those things matter, and they become very competitive little stats that that build rivalries.
Yeah. And when I'm picking somebody to play with, does it match me up to somebody who's my skill level? If I'm looking for somebody, not like Rocky, but somebody anonymous off the internet?
That's actually
I know Rocky can beat me. So.
That's a very good point. And one of the things that we wanted to do, I'm going to just pull up a different course here for you.
All right.
One of the things that we wanted to do, and this is from having a lot of experience in building casual games, if players feel like they're going to constantly go in and have zero chance of ever achieving any sort of success against another player, they start getting intimidated, and then the fun factor goes down pretty quickly. So golf has a wonderful system called handicapping, which is a great way of actually building out and saying, hey, I'll get players of different skill levels to enable them to play together and still be somewhat competitive. But we also build up what we call a WGT ranking system, where you actually can find, as you play, you can improve in your rank, and and then we can make sure that certain tournaments, or just even in just saying, I want to play in a foursome, find me people of a similar rank, or one up or one below, and that kind of thing, so that you basically always feel like, yeah, there are players that I can go be competitive with and have a good experience, and not just feel like, oh, I'm just going to be crushed because I don't put 60 hours a week into this game. And you know, we do have our hardcore players. So
you said something about casual games. One of the reasons I haven't gotten into real golf, even though I live on a real golf course, is that time it takes to play, you know, 18 holes of golf and go out and learn and buy the equipment, all that stuff. Can I decide to only play 3 holes in this, or do I have to play all 18 holes?
You can practice, just do a simple 3-hole round. You can do, we have actually offering for, you know, speaking to time sensitivity, we offer what we call skill challenges. And those are great little 3-minute to 5-minute experiences, which is just the closest to the pin competition. So I'll show you one now. This is the Bali High Golf Club in Las Vegas. It's, you know, a course built right on the Strip.
Now the camera's probably not picking this up, but the water looks like it's moving. How did you do that?
We have some very good animators that look at a lot of video, and we have been able to simulate those reflective qualities in Flash without making you download megabytes worth of video. So it's some really cool visual effects and code, and a little visual trickery in there, you know, as well. But it's that whole thing. I mean, in terms of download, is less than 100K. And you have an unbelievably, you know, good-looking water reflection, which I would put up against any Xbox game, you know, that's on the market right now.
It's hard to tell that this is a game. Yeah.
And that was our goal. All right, let's see if I can just. So this is an example of a skill challenge. It's a 3-minute experience, 5 minutes. You know, if you're starting to figure out how to play, and hopefully, I went a little long. But it's a closest to the pin competition, where your scoring is based on how far you were from the cup. And these kind of things, we find unbelievable amounts of traffic in lunch hours, people literally playing on the phone, just, you know, kind of in the background. But so this is kind of for that time-sensitive player, but then we also offer, of course, full stroke play, tee to green, and that can take about 20 minutes to finish 9 holes, so a little under 45 minutes for a full 18-hole experience. And then when you start adding multiplayer, it varies depending on the skill level of the player you're with. But the goal for us was to make sure that people can finish games in under an hour, a full 18-hole round in under an hour.
Wow. Anything else that we should see before we get to go?
Well, all I can say is, I mean, from what we're already putting on screen, it looks beautiful. We're very proud of it, and I cannot wait to introduce some of the new courses that we have announced, i.e. like Pinehurst, and some of the ones we haven't yet. It's going to be stunning. Players are going to have an unbelievable experience experiencing these world-class golf resorts.
And so when you turn on a new course, it'll just appear in my browser, right?
Yeah, it'll just
one
be
night you'll upgrade, just like Facebook upgrades its functionality.
We will, of course, will promote it and let you know. But but yes, it'll appear in the course list when you can select a course. It'll just, now all of a sudden you'll have Pinehurst #2, and then voila, go play it.
Very cool.
So
thanks. It's really cool.
Thank you so much.